Hi everyone, welcome to my new series, Let's Play Factorio. This is BSK, and for this time around we will be doing a series, sort of a guide tutorial series, where we will do something similar to another YouTuber that has already done this. His name is Zisteau. You should go and check him out. He plays quite a few games, but I mainly see his Factorio videos. They're very good, so you should go and check him out. So for this one we will do something similar to what he did on his, I believe it's his latest playthrough of the game. It's called Factorio Bootstrap. For this one, the objective was to create blueprints so a new player or a player who has spent very few hours on the game could just take those blueprints as a guide and play through the whole campaign in maybe less than 10 hours or something like that, which otherwise couldn't possibly be done by a new player. The game is sort of like you have to play through it quite a few times to get the hang of it, and maybe even restarting a few games to modify your starting base and stuff like that. So it takes quite some time to beat the game by doing it right, or yeah, whatever you think is right. So that's very subjective. So that being said, we will talk about our mods. The mods that I'll be using are fairly simple and arguably not game changers. For example, this one, auto deconstruct, it just tells you when a patch has been depleted, so you can either remove the miner, or if you have a very well laid out logistics network, it can just take them from you. So it sets them to deconstruct. This is the original base mod of the game, so it's nothing to worry about. This one, bottleneck. A couple of these can be better explained during the game, but basically this one helps you balance lanes and also fix ratios for when an assembly machine is not getting enough raw materials, or it's not producing enough to keep up with the whole base production. Then we have Forage. This one along with Feel For Me could probably be the game-changing ones, because they both let you deal with biters very easily. You will see later when we are trying to deal with them. But basically Forage just lets you click anywhere in the screen where you can see. Originally in the vanilla game, I haven't played it in a while, but at least it used to be like if your character is this size, then you have like a square box around this size where you can click and remove stuff and put down stuff. So this one lets you click and remove anything anywhere on your screen. Then Feel For Me, it just feels like whatever you have in hand that needs fuel. For example, a tank or a car or a locomotive, or even what are they called? Stone furnaces or burning machines and stuff like that. But mainly what I use them for is to fill turrets. That's how we're going to deal with biters. And that, alongside Forage, is very OP for biters. So the next one, Power Armor Mark III, this just adds another level for the Power Armor, which is kind of nice. Then these two, Squeak Through and Tree Collision, both of these are basically to help you navigate through your base or through a forest, this one, easier or faster, because if not you bump into a lot of stuff. And Squeak Through, for example, lets you run between, in this example, solar panels or even pipes or stuff like that, which you are not supposed to go between, and this one lets you do that, so it's very convenient. And lastly, we have the Jarm resource monitor. This one I haven't used in a while, but we'll keep it there, just maybe we can give it a good use later. It basically tells you at what percentage or how much resource is left in a particular patch. So that's helpful to keep track of them. Maybe if you have like a lot of patches being mined, so maybe we could put them to good use later in the game. So I think that's it. Now we're going to start a new single player free play in here. So I changed a couple of things. For example, the size and the richness, they are usually in 100 and I set them to 200 for everything. That's only because it's easier it makes dealing with biters easier, because ultimately you don't have to move a lot to get resources, so that helps out. Then for terrain, I just removed the cliffs because I don't like them. I'm not even sure when were they added to the game, but I've seen them and they are annoying. There's a way to remove them in game, like with I think grenades. There are some sort of grenades or dynamite with which you can remove cliffs, but I prefer to just not have them. Then for the enemy tab, I just modified this one, the starting area size. This is basically, or we can see here, I think it's easier to just see the preview. So this one, it says the size of the area without enemy bases around the player. So basically it's very straightforward, but basically what it does is, for example, if I were to appear here, I think normally you will have like a square around this size where there would be no biter bases. So by maxing this to 600%, we now have a square about this size. If you can see, there are biters very far from us. So that also helps with dealing with biters, because how they get triggered is by our contamination or pollution, and we pollute the ecosystem by removing trees like deforestations and stuff, and also by filling water with dirt so you can build stuff on top of them, and also by mining and melting ore, either iron or copper or whatever, or coal even. So we will see later that in game, but that creates like a red smoke which starts moving around or spreading the more you melt or pollute. So by adding this, we will set the biters farther away so they won't be touched by the pollution. And lastly, we have the technology. This is I'm not sure why this is by default after the game is finished. So what this allows you to do is you have a tech tree on which you could research technologies. So you can put one at a time, and then when it finishes, it pops up on the screen, and then you have to go and put another one, and so on and so on. And this just lets you set up a queue for researchers to like If this is finished, then go with this one, and then this one, and this stuff and stuff and stuff. I think it lets you set up to like 6 or 7, something like that. And by default, this is on this option after the game is finished, which means that you won't be able to do this until you launch your first rocket, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess, I don't know. I'll just put it to always, so we will be able to do that since the beginning. And I will put the seed number on the description below, so if any one of you want to have a try at this particular map, you can go for it. And now that I take a look at it, well, I think it's okay. I don't like this much. We will appear very near to here. I think this is like the middle. Yeah, somewhere around here. I don't like having the patches like touching each other, because then you add unnecessary troubles to your mining at the beginning of the game. But it should be okay. And other than that, I think it's okay. We can close up right here. There's a small gap in here, we can close it as well. We'll wall everything and put some turrets just to keep. We'll maybe take this patch and maybe fill some of this water so we can have a more plain terrain to build our base. I'm thinking we will have our electricity down here, and we will have the bus going this way to the right, just above, just clearing this. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. So let's get onto it. Let's hit play. Now, the first thing that you want to do is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the game or how new you are, but there's for example, well, let's put this first and then we'll start talking about that. First we'll put the burner mining drill. This mines anything you put it on, either copper or stone or coal or iron. And you gotta put some coal into it for it to function. So we're going to do some of that. We'll actually mine this. Okay, so we'll start by mining iron, because that's the most important resource at the beginning of the game. And then we will continue with the rest. So what I was saying is that basically this game is about an astronaut, something like that. I don't know if it says like an era or an age, but it's basically an astronaut that gets stranded on a planet because the spaceship broke down, and they gotta start from fresh to build a rocket to get out of here, or to launch a satellite. I think, I'm not sure. I think you need to put a satellite in the rocket, but at the end of the game you don't get in it. So I'm thinking maybe it's just to contact someone else. Well, I haven't really played too much of the campaign. I don't think there is a campaign really. So what we are going to do now is build a couple of these. And I like to do this at the beginning of the game because this will help us keep our base going easier. So what I'm going to do here is I mined one coal and I set these two facing each other. So what they are doing is they have a small yellow to where they are dropping the, for example, the coal. If I set it to the top, it will drop coal over here. I can just pick it up with F. And if I put it, if I set them facing each other, they're just gonna feed one another coal, which will make them run forever. as long as they're still mining coal, right? So this may sound stupid at the beginning, probably, but basically, as you can see, this is what the time it takes to farm one coal, and this is the time it takes to burn one coal. So, as you can see, burning one coal can get you like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 of this. I haven't really never counted them, but you can if you like to. Then what we are going to do is build 3 more of this and 3 more of this. That's so we can expand our little iron mining. And another cool trick that we have right here is the letter Q. The Q shortcut, if you hover over a specific object and press it, it will bring up whatever you are hovering over it and that you have in your inventory. Because if we want to try it again with this one, for example, we no longer have any more burner mining drills, so if we click it, it will just give us an error. But for example, we do have stone furnaces, we have 3, so if we click this one, it will put it in our hand so we can more easily build stuff. And now we will have more iron plates being produced, which will help us set 2 more of these for copper. Copper at the beginning of the game is not very essential, but the more you advance through the game, the more it gets needed. So by the end, I believe it, I'm not sure how much, but maybe at the start of the game, well, I'm just throwing random numbers, but at the start of the game you use, if maybe you use 5-to-1 iron, at the end of the game you end up using like 10-to-1 copper. So we won't use it much right now, but the requirements for copper will greatly increase throughout the game. Now we will expand our little trick down here. We will basically do the same, but longer. So each of these burner mining drills can hold up to 50. So if we do this way, each time they fill up, we just need to turn this around. So now each one is facing the other one, like a carousel. So if they can hold 50 in here, each time we show up, we could get 400 from 400 gold from this. So that will be nice once they fill up, because we will need a lot of them. And now what we want to do, we need more iron plate. This needs more coal. What we are going to do is set up a small stone farming. Stone is very useful at different parts throughout the game. At the beginning you need a lot of stone to keep farming, to keep creating furnaces, but it's not a very essential resource, so we will just start by having something like this, and we will, they are all facing this iron chest, so they will fill it rather quickly, but we will just leave it there so we can get some when we need to. And now maybe I need to add a couple of more. Yeah, I'll do that. Let's not worry about resources for now. 2 more. So we'll add this here, this here, and this here. Now we have 12 of them. That's quite a lot, but we will need it, so don't worry. Okay, so now the next step, we could actually, yeah, I'll set up 4 more of these. So if you right click on anything in here, for example, creating one burner mining drill takes all of those ingredients, and if you click one by one, it will create all the ingredients. It will queue the ingredient making and then the final product. But if you right click, it will add up all the ingredients together, so it will create all of them first and then just give you the whole products. It's a cool thing to know, useful sometimes, just a small tip. So we will expand our little iron mining. And now we have quite some iron plates, which is nice. I will get some copper plates. We will also get some coal, and now we will go to, I think we need more. Yes, to set up our, what do you call this? Electricity. So for electricity, I don't know if you have realized, but like the objective of the game is basically to automate everything, so you don't need to worry about anything, even biter. I should maybe remove that autosave thing, but it's good sometimes. Like maybe even biter killing can be automated, but so that's the thing, you gotta automate everything so you don't have to worry about them. So for now, we will build one offshore pump. So there's a page I like to use. It's called, I don't remember the name, cheat sheets or something like that, where you can see like all the ratios and stuff for Factorio. In that page, it's very helpful. Some of them are fairly simple, like this one, but some of them aren't. And you can take a look at that page to see what's up. So for this one, for example, each offshore pump, it says down there the pumping speed is 1200 per second, like 1200 liters of water, I believe, something like that. I'm not sure. So let's say 1200 water. So if you pump 1200 per second, then you have your boilers. The water will first go to your boilers, which will heat up the water with coal. And the output for each boiler is 60 per second. You can see it down there where it says generate steam. So the boiler will heat up the water and generate steam, and it will output 60, let's say, steam per second. So each boiler needs, the consumption is 60 per second. It says consumes water 60 per second. So if you have an offshore pump that pumps 1200 water per second and each boiler consumes 60, you will have that each pump can provide 20 boilers with water. So we will build one offshore pump, 2 boilers, and the steam engines. As you can see down there, the consumption for each one is 30 per second. This is connected to the boiler. The boiler outputs 60 steam per second, so each boiler can maintain 2 steam engines, or can provide steam for 2 engines. So basically the ratio right here would be 1 offshore pump to 20 boilers to 40 steam engines, which we are producing right down here. So that's what we are going to do, and then we will need some, oops, okay, that's okay, yes, and we'll do some bolts as well. Okay, so we will lay down the pump. Let's start down here. So this one works with magic. It really doesn't, but I'm not sure. You don't need to put electricity on it for it to work. So maybe someone out there can tell us how offshore pumps work. I would think that electricity, but maybe it's magic. So now, after that, we'll set up some pipe to ground, or some underground pipes, just to keep some space in between, in case we need to put something through there. And then we'll have the 2 boilers all together. Then we'll have one space. Then we will lay down the steam engines. So each boiler can provide steam for 2 engines. This setup is very popular, probably the most popular I've seen. There are, of course, many ways to do this, but this is, I think, the best I've seen. There are some people that put 2 boilers in here, then I think 5 boilers or 4, and then, I mean, steam engines in here, and then boilers on the other side, and they are all connected, which looks nice and all, but I don't think it's needed. So after this, we lay down the poles. This is how we do it. So if you click one pole, for example, I lay down this one, and then I want to set the pole to the max distance possible, I just click and walk away. So each time the pole reaches its maximum distance, the computer will lay down a pole. So that's very useful when you're building electric pole lines. Then after that, we were going to put some burner inserters, but we don't have enough iron plates. So basically, I will explain better the setup later when we add the belt and the inserters. But basically what we are going to have here is something like this. And then we will copy this and we'll have something like this all the way to 20 boilers and 40 steam engines, and that's maybe like around here, and that's everything that this pump can fuel. And after that, we'll add a second pump up here, and we'll have another line of boilers and steam engines down here. So we will have a setup of 40 boilers and 80 steam engines powered by 2 pumps, and one belt going through the middle with you can, if you have one in your inventory, you can put ghost marks. So the belt will be going through the middle, and it will be carrying coal, which the inserters will put in here in the boilers, so that will automate our electricity setup. And I think that's a good spot to wrap this up. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay safe and have a nice day. Thank you very much. Bye bye.